Hi out there, it's me Breanna with Save the Game Media, and today I'll be reviewing Layers of Fear. I want to start by thanking the devs over at Antro Studios and Bloober Team for the review code. I really do appreciate it. Now to get started onto the review itself. Layers of Fear, the 2023 version, is a revamped and continuous version of all of the Layers of Fear game in one. I think it's worth pointing out that I've never played a Layers of Fear game, so I won't be able to compare how the games have been upgraded in this version. As for the game itself, you play as an author living in a lighthouse. The author is writing stories about a few different characters and how their lives have fallen apart. The story you experience is a mixture between the author's story and living as the author's characters. I actually really enjoyed the way the story is woven. Playing as the character and the author was a fresh and unique experience for me, and I found it very interesting. The section of the game that I played was the section that surrounds the story of the artist. Although the core of the artist's story was quite sad, I found the individual story beats to be a bit cheesy, but in a really quaint way. So if you're looking for a really in-depth story, this definitely isn't going to be a game for you. But if you're looking for an interesting and slightly cheesy story as you walk through a twisted landscape, then this story should work perfectly for you. Most of the story that you get about the characters inside the book itself comes from the notes and items that you find around the house. The story isn't really told unless you pick up those items, and then you'll either get a note that's read to you, or you'll hear the character kind of talk about their life or talk about what that object means to them or something that it reminds them of, stuff like that. The story itself comes mostly from interacting with those items. As for the gameplay itself, this game is basically just a half a step off of a walking simulator. There is an additional mechanic that I'll talk about in just a moment, but for the most part, you're just walking around and interacting with objects and kind of experiencing the character's story as told by the character himself through the author. I know that the walking simulator genre itself can be a bit controversial, but I found this game to be a very successful walking simulator, and overall I think it was a really good experience. Early on in the artist's story, you're provided with a lantern that you can use to light up the environment, but also fight off ghosties and bad memories, essentially. The mechanic itself I thought was very interesting, but the actual implementation of the mechanic wasn't very successful for me. For the most part, I unfortunately found this additional mechanic to just be annoying. For example, there was a part of the game that I literally couldn't get away from the ghost because they would spawn directly outside of the starting room within arm's reach of the character, which basically means that I didn't have enough time to stop the ghost from attacking me before it would kill me again and I'd have to restart. It got to the point where basically I had to turn on the do not die mechanic to get past that part, and I ended up not ever turning it off because I found that mechanic to be more annoying and it was taking away from the experience for me and taking away from the horror rather than adding to the fear and the horror, the adding to the layers of fear, you may say. Beyond the lantern mechanic, there was one other element in the game that I did unfortunately find quite annoying. There were a couple of sessions that I played this game where I couldn't spend a lot of time playing the game, and the way that the game saves is there are pretty big gaps in time between saves. So if you're looking to play this game, make sure you have a few hours to sit down, because there were several sessions that I lost maybe 10 to 20 minutes of gameplay. So just be cautious of that when you go to play the game. I do want to note that I did experience one bug, however, it was not game breaking in any way and a quick restart fixed it right up. I think the question that most of you watching this review will have is this game scary? I would say overall, my vote would be yes, this game is scary. But please be warned that a good chunk of the scares are cheap jump scares with a lot of rats running around. I think I scared myself more than the game actually scared me, but there were some really, really good scares in this game. So overall, I would vote that yes, this game is scary. But again, just be warned that a good chunk of these scares are cheap jump scares. The last question that I wanted to touch in the review is, should I be buying this game right now? In my opinion, yes, I think if you are interested in playing a scary game, I think this is a really fantastic walking simulator kind of scary game. And I think that you'll have a good time with it. Additionally, it's a bunch of games wrapped into one, and the whole thing is just for the price of $30 in the US, of course. And I think that that price for how much you get and the game that you get out of it is definitely worth it. If you want to wait for it to go on sale, you definitely can. But the game is basically a bunch of games wrapped into one for an already pretty cheap price. So I think it's a really good deal and I would definitely pay for it. Thank you so much for watching this review, and if you aren't already subscribed to the channel, please do so. And I will leave you with this last piece of footage of me playing the game. Please note that this was heavily edited in terms of how much time I paused. So this whole clip was shortened down from about 30 minutes of recording. So please enjoy that, and I'll see you next time.